All right, so let's dive right in. We got to talk about this Jeju air crash in South Korea. Just a few days ago, December 29th.
Tragic, really.
Yeah, a Boeing 737-800, you know, went down. Devastating outcome, only 2 survivors out of 181 passengers. It's just a stark reminder, I guess, of how fragile air travel can be.
Absolutely, a real tragedy.
And, we see these headlines, but we wanted to take a deep dive into, well, actually a bigger story here.
Mm.
Boeing. This hasn't been their year, has it?
No, not at all. I mean, this crash, yeah, it's awful, but it really seems to be part of a larger pattern for them.
Yeah, that's what we're going to try to unpack today. So to help us really connect the dots, see the big picture, we've got our expert here. They're amazing at seeing those connections.
Happy to be here.
Now, this plane, the 737-800, it's usually a pretty reliable workhorse, right?
Yeah, generally considered very safe.
So this whole incident, it's raising eyebrows for sure. What went wrong? Is this part of something bigger at
A
Boeing?
lot of questions.
And that's what's interesting. It's like, okay, 2024, not smooth sailing for Boeing at all. Got to rewind a bit.
Yeah.
Talk about, well, the elephant in the room,
You mean?
the 737 MAX. Those crashes back in 2018, 2019, Indonesia, Ethiopia. 346 deaths. Shook everyone.
Absolutely. Profound impact on Boeing. Their reputation, financially, I mean, they've lost over $23 billion in the 5 years since then.
Wow.
Yeah. And, Airbus, their competitor, they've gained a lot of ground because of this.
So Boeing already carrying a lot coming into 2024. Then, boom, a 7-week machinist strike in the fall.
Oh, right.
33,000 workers walking out.
Yeah.
Halted production on like the 737 MX, the 777, 767. Huge disruption.
Definitely. And it's not just the halt itself, it's a ripple effect. Delays in deliveries, and that's killer in this industry. Airlines, they need their planes on time.
And then on top of that, you had that incident back in January. Alaska Airlines, another 737 MX. A door plug blew off mid-flight.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Thankfully, nobody hurt, but talk about a wake-up call.
Absolutely. Raises serious concerns about quality control in their manufacturing. The FAA even stepped in, imposed those production limits, basically saying, hold on, we need to see some improvement.
Like, whoa, Boeing, slow down. And then, here's where things get really wild. They agreed to plead guilty to fraud back in July.
Fraud.
Yeah, misleading the FAA about the 737 MAX, safety features, pilot training, the whole thing.
Interesting. What was the crux of it?
So they were downplaying the need for simulator training, basically arguing pilots didn't need as much time, which would make the MAX more appealing to airlines, right? Simulator training's expensive.
So cutting corners, potentially life-threatening consequences.
And then get this, the plea deal gets rejected by a judge in December.
What? Why?
Concerns about Boeing's DEI policies and how those could influence the selection of an oversight official.
Wow, talk about a plot twist.
Right. So Boeing, they're just trying to navigate all this. New CEO back in August, David Calhoun's out. 70,000 employees in safety meetings. Huge effort, but is it enough?
Culture change, that's tough, especially in a company this size. It takes time, commitment from everyone. They're at a crossroads.
Big time. They've made some serious mistakes trying to rebuild trust. But can they actually do it? We'll get into that right after this.
Yeah, really pivotal moment for them. Like the whole world's watching, How do they come back from this?
It's almost bigger than just Boeing, isn't it? I mean, you see this in other industries too, this struggle to balance like innovation, profits with safety, ethics, doing the right thing.
Like for sure, car companies, pharmaceuticals, even tech with AI and all that. It's that line, right? Pushing boundaries but not going too far.
And when they go too far, well, we see what can happen. Boeing's a prime example.
The 737 MAX, those were wake-up calls. And the ripples, they haven't stopped. Billions lost, reputation hit, all the scrutiny from regulators, the public.
And it's easy to forget sometimes, but it's people's lives, right, at the heart of this.
Yes, can't lose sight of that.
So they're making changes, right? New CEO, those meetings.
Yeah.
But is it enough? Like really changing things?
That's the tough part. Culture change is slow, especially in a company that big. It's got to be more than just talk.
And then that judge rejecting the plea deal, that adds another layer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, are they serious about this or just managing their image?
That rejection, that was huge GE, not just legally, but symbolically. It's like the judge was saying, prove it. Show me you actually care about safety more than anything else.
So where does that leave them? What does, redemption even look like for Boeing at this point?
Uphill battle, that's for sure. They got to prove they've learned. Not just say it, but actually do things differently.
Not just meetings, not just statements. It's Got to be deeper, right?
Yeah, the whole process, how they design planes, build them, their whole culture, top to bottom.
Embedding safety, not just talking about it.
Exactly. And employees got to feel safe speaking up, you know? And transparency with regulators, the public, every step of the way.
Tall order. But if they want to regain trust, that's what it takes.
More than just trust. They got to earn back their reputation as the leader, the innovator, but the safe one. Profit without cutting corners, responsibility.
This is what's fascinating to me. It's not just engineering business. It's all tied together, right?
Yeah.
Ethics, culture, what people think, the human cost.
Exactly. Complex web. And what they do next, it affects everything. The whole industry, anyone who flies, it's huge.
It's a lot to consider. But we got to be informed, Ask questions. Hold companies like this accountable.
Couldn't agree more. We all have a role here. Stay informed, stay curious, demand transparency.
So what does this all mean for our listeners?
Mm-hmm.
What should they be watching for as this unfolds?
That's a great question. Well, I think for anyone listening, the takeaway is it's not justy about Boeing, right?
Right.
It's a bigger question. Any company, but especially ones dealing with like really complex tech, high-stakes stuff. How do you balance that drive to innovate, make money, but still be safe, ethical?
Yeah, that's the core of it. And we live in a world where tech is moving so fast, companies pushing boundaries all the time. But there's got to be that responsibility, right? To make sure it doesn't come at the cost of, well, people's lives.
Absolutely. That's where the scrutiny's so important. From regulators, from us, the public, we got to ask those tough questions, demand they're transparent, hold them accountable.
Because at the end of the day, it's about more than just their bottom line, right? It's trust. It's like, what's the deal between these big companies and the rest of us?
Yeah, that social contract.
And with Boeing, that trust, it's been shaken. They've got a long way to go to earn it back, not just from the public, but the whole aviation world.
It's not a quick fix, that's for sure. It takes time, real commitment, putting safety first, always. And they got to prove that, not just say it.
Actions speak louder.
Way louder. So what can our listeners do? How can they stay in the loop on all this?
Well, first off, stay curious. Keep reading the news, articles, reports. Listen to podcasts like this one, ones that dig deep into these issues.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. Booking a flight, do your research. Look up the airlines, the planes, their safety records. If you're concerned about something, say something. To the airlines, to the regulators, anyone who'll listen.
We've all got to do our part, right? Hold companies like Boeing accountable. Push for a future where innovation doesn't mean sacrificing safety or doing things the wrong way.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, into this crazy year Boeing's had,
Yeah.
I just want to leave you with this thought. The choices these companies make, they don't just affect their profits, right?
Yeah.
People's lives, communities, the whole world, really.
It's a good reminder that we all shape how technology develops, how it's used. It's got to serve us in a safe, ethical way.
Well said. So thanks for joining us on this journey. As always, check out the show notes. We've got links to more info, resources, all that good stuff. And don't forget to subscribe to stay tuned for more deep dives into, well, the stuff that matters.
Until next time, keep asking questions, keep learning, and let's keep pushing for a better future, all of us.